Soon, Cardano will be buried in dApps. Just on the DeFi front, we'll soon have Sundae, Muesli, Adax, Liqwid, Minswap, Wingriders, Maladex, Cardax, Meld, Genie Shield, VyFi, Ardana. The list goes on and on and on forever. This year, we're even promised the network improvements that will allow a throughput sufficient for these dApps to run correctly. Some days this week, it's been hard to even see that future, but it's really coming. And the real question is actually what happens after that. Ready? Let's go. Today we're going to discuss why being buried in dApps and even having the network to a point where it can handle the throughput for those dApps to run correctly isn't actually enough. There's still a missing ingredient that we need. We're also going to discuss the next phase of DEX testnet launches, the America Competes Act, and the FOMC policy statement that came down today. In last night's live stream, Artem Wright asked the perfect question. The question was basically, why do you think traditional DeFi dApps have failed to capture the attention of the mainstream outside of our small crypto space? And our crypto space is still small and niche. I know it might seem like we have a gigantic crypto space, but compared to the rest of the world, we are a small group, people who are actually interested in crypto. And immediately I said I wasn't going to be able to articulate a good answer to that question because I hadn't actually spent enough time thinking about that question. But I have thought about it quite a bit over the last day. And here's what I've come to. Your mom doesn't care at all about any of these dApps. Your mom doesn't care about DeFi. She doesn't care about getting crypto loans. She doesn't care about swaps. She doesn't care about what wallet is best for her to hold assets she might swap. She doesn't care about DEX liquidity. She doesn't care about your little crypto marketplaces. She doesn't care. None of this is interesting to her. I know one of you is like jumping out of your chair right now because you have a super nerdy neckbeard mom who has a degree in computer science and she really, really cares. I'm sure some of you have like neckbeard moms. I'm sure your mom is like the bearded lady back in the day. She would have been in the traveling carnival, but today she's into crypto. So that's not the mom I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mom archetype, the average person out there. Sometimes if you spend a lot of time in crypto, if you spend a lot of time on crypto Twitter or crypto Reddit or wherever, somewhere in the crypto ecosystem, you imagine that every person actually knows the difference between functional and imperative programming. And people actually go around all day thinking about consensus protocols. This is not the case, my friend. Your mom does not care about any of this. And that's why DeFi dApps traditionally on the Ethereum side and elsewhere, why they never really captured any attention outside of the crypto space. The people using Uniswap and PancakeSwap and SushiSwap, they're just crypto people. They're the same crypto people who've always been in crypto. Sure, we gain some every year and we lose some. By the way, this has nothing at all to do with gender. Your mom archetype could also be your dad. What we're saying is if we take a random sampling of normal mainstream people and stick them in a room, they're not cruising around on crypto Twitter in there. Sure, a couple of them, might have, some PFP NFTs or something, and they know what Bitcoin is roughly, but they're not like dying to know what DEX is launching next on Cardano or any other blockchain because they don't care. The problem is there's no utility for them. For the your mom archetype, there is no utility in crypto DeFi. You could spend an entire cocktail party explaining to them about how wonderful the benefits of cryptographic ownership on a blockchain are, how no one else can own this asset but you, and you are guaranteed a secure ownership that cannot be created anywhere else. They don't care because they don't want to own this asset. We already have a ton of assets trading on Cardano Dexes, and the your mom archetype doesn't want any of them. They don't want any of them. They want utility. They don't care about our Dexes or our crypto loan platforms because they don't care about the assets underlying those platforms. They don't care about any of it because those assets have no utility to them. These DeFi dApps were built by crypto people for crypto people. And it's all, at its core, it's all based on the utility of the underlying assets. But the utility of those underlying assets appeals to a limited crowd. And I hate to say a part of it, it's hard to deny that a big part of that is the get in early and get rich mentality. If that wasn't there, even the crypto scene we have now would be exponentially smaller. And that sort of core premise is not seductive enough to get the mainstream in. We actually have to start building DeFi, not even DeFi, but just dApp platforms. We have to start building dApp platforms that actually have utility for the mainstream, that are built for the mainstream, that are built for the mom archetype. We have to build dApps that have some use for soccer moms. And I'm using that term, just again, the mom archetype. It has nothing to do with people who take their kids to soccer practice. But whatever is the equivalent of a soccer mom in your country, the average person out there, we need to start building. If we want those people in crypto, we have to build dApps that have some utility for those people. And we do have a few of these types of things in crypto and even in Cardano, but they're not DeFi, because the DeFi dApps, the ones we have traditionally on the Ethereum side, on the Solidity side, they're built by crypto people for crypto people. And so far, the ones we see in Cardano are basically the same. They're built by crypto people for crypto people. And a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them look a lot like their cognates in the Ethereum world. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But if we ever want the mainstream to care about our crypto dApps, we actually have to build utility into them that they would care about. And that has to extend far beyond the sort of, hey, crypto assets are valuable because if you get in early, you can get rich. That premise was part of the seduction of the current crypto crowd, but we need something more. We need greater utility beyond that if we ever want the mainstream to care about our crypto dApps. Don't be misled. I'm actually extremely optimistic on this front. All anybody cares about right now is getting all of the DeFi dApps running on Cardano and getting the network in a shape such that the throughput is sufficient for all those dApps to run correctly. That's like 90% of everyone's focus right now. And it's probably not a bad focus. But once we're eyeball deep in all these dApps running correctly, we're probably going to feel a lot the same way Ethereum feels. Even if our dApps run, way better than Ethereum, way cheaper, way more smoothly, all the things that Cardano was meant to do. Even if we get there, I think we're going to be eyeball deep in these, well-running dApps, and we're going to look around and realize, oh, okay, now we need to focus on dApps that have real utility for the mainstream. Back to the present and the launch of DeFi, we now have multiple other Dexes on testnet for you to try out. Here's the announcement from Minswap. They say, we're excited to announce the Minswap testnet is now live. They're making it available, and it looks like they're maybe even rewarding people for using it. Say, read more on how to get involved. The testnet is live as of, looks like, January 25th. We also have the Wingriders testnet that has been live for a while. If you've tried out either of these testnets, Minswap or Wingriders, let me know down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? What did you like? What did you not like? Wingriders, if you're not familiar with it, is brought to us by Vacuum Labs, who made the Adalite wallet. Here's a quick report from the Cardano metaverse space. Before we get into this, I just want to reiterate something I've said many times. We don't know at this point if any of these metaverses will actually deliver on what we hope they'll become. Working, viable metaverses where we can walk around with our little avatars and there'll be voice chat and it'll actually be fun and useful. We don't know if any of these metaverses will actually get there. So you need to be super careful. you cannot you cannot buy plots in these metaverses assuming that that particular metaverse will actually get to the finish line. We don't know at this point. These are pretty complex things, building out the kinds of metaverses we all hope that one of these projects, at least one of them, will produce. I hope, but we don't actually know if any of them will actually get there. It could be that none of these projects will actually produce viable working metaverses. We just don't know at this point. It's so early. Having said that, it looks like Ada Realm in their Discord is giving us a little bit of news. They say, we are in heavy talks with big VR and AR studio. We already had 3 meetings and everything looks very promising. It looks like we're going to hear about this in an AMA session this week. This is definitely the kind of news you want to hear. If you're hoping a metaverse project will someday actually become a metaverse, hearing they're talking to, quote, a big VR and AR studio, that's great news. Of course, talking with a VR and AR studio is different than actually having something going with them. So we don't know what will become of this. Like I said, be very careful. Very possible that none of these projects will actually materialize into a working metaverse. But to me, this is some good news. You might have seen Charles's video today about the America Competes Act. Here is Jerry Brito's coverage of the language in this bill. So Jerry Brito is the head of Coin Center. He's the guy keeping track of all of these bad bills that are trying to go through Congress. And he tells us that this bill basically would create a special measures provision where Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, could unilaterally have the power to ban exchanges and other financial institutions from engaging in crypto transactions. Charles went into a lot of detail on this. I will let you watch his video. He's so fired up. He's talking about creating a crypto PAC. Political Action Committee. This is something he's talked about in the past. I hope he does it. It's probably the right response to this because we see this bad language that could be used to attack crypto injected into these other bills time and time again. I believe this one was previously inserted into a National Defense Act. And it was removed there, but now it's popping back up. And basically, right now, something like this would have to go through. If the Treasury Secretary wanted to do something like this, would have to go through a public rulemaking procedure, and it would all be kind of like transparent out in the open. And there'd be certain time periods. I think there's some kind of a 120-day time period currently. You'd have to go through, and we kind of be able to see what's going on and fight it. But if this language were to become law, all of a sudden, Janet Yellen would just unilaterally be able to sort of wave her hand and say, "Hey, by special measure, I'm saying no crypto trading." So I think both Jerry Brito and Charles are right to be alarmed about this. And I think this is going to be a process we're going to be going through for the next several years. I think there's going to be a lot of this kind of language mysteriously cropping up in these bills. And Charles definitely went into detail about the background of the particular lawmaker who decided to insert this language. No surprise, he's been heavily involved in the traditional finance sector in the past. So I wish we didn't have to cover news like this because I wish it wasn't happening, but I think this is going to be something we're going to be seeing time and time again for the next couple of years, probably. Finally, Jay Powell got on the mic today and let us know how the 2-day FOMC meeting went. And he pretty much told us things we already knew from the minutes of the December 14 and 15 meeting, which we covered pretty extensively on this channel. The dot plot from that December meeting had already let us know that there were going to be a lot of rate hikes in 2022. A majority of participants in the FOMC meeting were predicting a lot of hikes, a lot of rate hikes coming up this year. And we also kind of knew something he sort of reinforced in his speech today, and that was that the main policy tool of the Fed is going to be the rate. From meeting to meeting, they're going to hike the rate as their main tool. And then in the background, we're kind of going to see this consistent, gradual move toward running assets off the balance sheet. And they explained this in the minutes of that December meeting by saying that they feel like they better understand the impact of hiking the rate Here's the upshot. Powell said the committee is of a mind to hike rates at the March meeting. And we know that running assets off the balance sheet will happen at some point after that. He also said that this time around, they're probably going to do things faster and sooner than they did last time. So I think it's safe to say the Fed, we've known this for a while, but the Fed is very spooked about the inflation going on. They're very concerned and going to move fast to deal with the inflation that's been created. We won't get into the debate about how much of that is supply side bottlenecks and how much is just plain old money printing. But I hope you're having a great week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.